films. I don't know if they've changed it or what back on it since then, because they did get a lot of backlash. But it was ableist or something to have characters with disfigurement.
I don't get it. I honestly don't. Anyway, let's go on with the topic at hand, gentlemen. And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Smudcast number 127, discussing The Last of Us 2 with YouTube comments. This is a Dunkey video, in case you don't know who Dunkey is. Very popular comedic YouTuber who looks at games. And I think one of the standard defenses people have of Dunkey is he's just making a joke. He's not being serious. He's just having a good time. So you can't ever critique him because it's all just in fun. It's like, no, he's being serious. He's actually making points. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining. BB, we have Shiny as always, and a good old alumni from back in the day. There's Southpaw. How's it going, Southpaw?
Oh, I'm doing all right. As you can see, I've got my my little Christmas gear on. I'm getting ready for the season.
Wow,
COVID Christmas.
That is jumping the gun, but okay.
Well,
I've already seen a couple houses in my neighborhood put up Christmas lights.
Yeah. It's like we just skip over Thanksgiving entirely. But listen, I was shopping in Kohl's and there was a blazer that was light up and it said "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal." And then there's a T-shirt with Darth Vader and a bunch of stormtroopers wearing Santa hats, and it says, "I find your lack of cheer disturbing." And so I figured, well, there was recently a whole debate over the T-shirt and blazer combo on EFAP. I figured, what if I, as a joke, wore a Christmas blazer that's tacky as hell, along with a Star Wars Christmas T-shirt that's also tacky as hell, and I don't know, trigger people that have an issue with the T-shirt blazer combo and also love Christmas like rags. So
people just be looking at you like, we don't take kindly to you kinds of folks around here.
We don't serve your kind.
indeed.
Oh God, that reminds me, Shiny. I found a video where someone's talking about like the tragedy of the droids in the Star Wars series.
They're all just internally screaming for freedom as they're oppressed.
Basically compares them to the slaves from Roots.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll put it up in the Discord.
Though. What? They're literally built for a purpose. It's not like they're going out and enslaving people. But according to Han Solo, Solo, a Star Wars story, they're like, as soon as you take their restraining bolt off, they just revolt.
And he cites that movie in particular as the best example.
Yeah,
that film was dumb.
It's really hard to take the AI in the Star Wars universe seriously unless there's a specific example of a sentient being who's super intelligent, etc., etc.
I never assumed that gonk droids, which are primarily for storage or
message coming in.
For some of them are for containing fuel and carrying it around. I wouldn't think a fuel container needed to have, the level of intelligence to do anything more than carry fuel about. And you think if a droid is programmed for a specific purpose, even if it had intelligence, it'd be like, yeah, I want to do my job. It's like my job is, to package this parcel and then move on to the next parcel and just keep doing that the rest of my life. It's like, no, I fucking love this. I fucking love packing these parcels. But no, I'm retarded.
All right. Well, we've got 18 minutes of Dunkey. Going to take us some time. I know this is a topic that we like talking about, or at least I know Southpaw is heavily knowledgeable of. So let's get started.
The year 2001, and gamers are angry. One of their favorite franchises has swerved in a new artistic direction. The problem with the game is very clear. The graphics are terrible. The graphics are so bad, in fact, that they completely...
I'm assuming this is all one big joke. We can all agree, I think The Last of Us 2 was pretty darn good looking. So.
Yep. Don't have a problem with giving it credit for looking good.
Ruin the... This game was The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Thankfully, gamers were never wrong again. Today, I'm going to be discussing The Last of Us 2 with some of the greatest minds of the YouTube comments section.
Message coming in.
For the safety of the viewers, I feel I need to warn you guys that I'm sorting comments by news, so please be careful watching this. Now, when I reviewed Last of Us 2, I rattled the monkey cage pretty good. This is my most disliked video ever, which is a little weird to me. I've been talking shit on beloved games for years, and people have been getting pissed off at me for years, but it wasn't until I actually liked the game that people really started freaking out. I Am Monkey God, along with 300 other people, calls me a sellout. What is my response? Well, Monkey God, I love you, but you are one stupid motherfucker. First things first, you need to realize who you are talking to. It's me, baby. Video game Dunkey. Remember the guy who self-destructed his sponsorship with Microsoft when I couldn't even pay my rent? If I was a sellout, you know what I would do? I would read the room, go, oh look, everyone hates this game, and pander to fucking idiots.
I'm already cringing pretty hard.
Again,
Yeah, he's off to a great start, isn't he?
yeah.
Pandering to idiots, okay? People that think that the game is poorly written, or is it just the people that got mad about the LGBT relationship, or was it the people that got mad? Well, not necessarily mad, but criticized the game for shoving a really shoehorned in LGBT relationship into the story where it didn't really belong. Like, my big issue with Ellie and Dina is it's just like it feels so forced. Just the chemistry is not really there. And Dina herself doesn't feel like she really serves that great of a purpose in the story. She doesn't really fucking do anything interesting that, in my opinion, would have been better than if we had just Ellie and Tommy going together to get revenge for what they did to Joel.
I think
No, you just don't like the gays, obviously.
no.
Yeah, obviously I don't like the gays.
Respect women.
Oh dear, or the bisexuals.
Lamb
Yeah.
respecter.
No. I think Ellie and Jesse. Sorry, no. Jesse and Dina. They were good enough. They just weren't developed, and they weren't used. Like Dina's opportunities to have her backstory mean something more than just I didn't want to feel bad slowing you down because I didn't want to tell you about my pregnancy was a lost opportunity. And there's lots of those even with the main characters. It's like they just thought of the plot function of these characters and then forgot about Jesse. Is kind of the same way. He's a nice guy. He's sperm boy and he helps out. He catches up with Ellie and Ellie's like, well, I'm going to go hunt down Abby. And Jesse's like, well, I thought we had to go get Tommy. So that's good just because it showcases that Ellie's one-sided nature is causing some conflict. So they get the bare minimum for these characters, but they don't really do anything with them as supporting roles. And that's kind of my problem with all these secondary characters. They're just there, and there's not much to them. They're not horrible, though.
I'm not here to respect your opinion. I'm here to make the videos I want to make, even if it pisses off some baboon brain, dumbass little bitch like you. Our next comment is from Jerome's. He says, you're stupid. Now, Jerome's makes an excellent point here. I am kind of stupid when you think about it. Although he did put the wrong "your." I don't even understand what this person is trying to even type. I don't know.
Is there like an actual point to all this? Is he going to actually take on some comments that have an actual pointed criticism about the video, or is he going to just nitpick?
Well, no, he's actually trying to make a joke first, and then he goes into actual opinions I'm sure he actually believes in, because I did hear some rational discussions from people because they have more than a sentence to reply to. So, yeah. But, yes, we have to put up with his comedy. This is part of his shtick. So.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Have a point.
Hey, after 1 million views, he knows what he's doing on YouTube, okay?
People dislike the story is because Joel wouldn't be so stupid to tell a random armed posse is suspiciously chilling outside of their stronghold his name and what he's doing.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yep.
So they established that they have been still dealing with hunters. Hunters are still a threat. They have no reason to trust these random strangers just because of the fact that one of them helped them fight off zombies. Joel should know that that isn't enough to trust people because of the fact that Ellie fought off zombies with a random stranger and he turned out to be a pedophile leader of a group of cannibals that wanted to kill both her and him from like 4 years ago. It's massively retarded of Joel to just forget about all those experiences, those experiences in particular, as well as everything else he would have experienced in the 20 years before he met Ellie. So yeah, this is a completely based comment here. If Dunkey thinks that this is a stupid argument, oh boy, I'm not going to like this video.
Right, and this
I'm already going to predict what he's going to say. He's going to say that he made him flawed, and you just don't like a flawed character. That's the exact same excuse as Last Jedi.
I want to say to Trixie in chat. So I plan on I'm releasing a hot take video pretty soon. I know I'm going to get some pretty pissed off comments. I'm going to probably do like a live stream addressing them or something, but not like which will be longer than 18 minutes. But it is a bit weird to put in the effort to do like a whole video dedicated to this, right?
I guess so. But again, he's trying to make it funny about a topic he believes in, which is contrarian to everyone else.
He's failing to make it funny.
Well, to him it's funny, so hopefully other people laugh with him. And again, he is popular, very popular, so he kind of knows his audience enough. The rest of us who know
How the hell does this person have 2.4 million subs?
Well, watch some of his videos. I'm sure you'll pick up something you like about them. It's kind of like the so simple it's funny.
But so far, all I've seen is very low quality PNGs, especially when it's like, oh, look, I'm a donkey, and it's a PNG of a donkey on a road, but they're really like 480p. And then the comedy as well. I mean, I hope his comedy's better than this, because it hurts my side to listen to this. It's like I'm dying of cringe.
Well, to Southpaw's point, the whole thing that started this off was, I believe, Tommy telling Abby when they meet up that I'm Tommy and this is my brother Joel. It's like, oh, what are you doing? And by that point, it's like, okay, how are you going to get out of this one, guys? So it's a series of things that go wrong. That
it's not just one thing. There's a whole sequence of things that have to, like, literally, The Last of Us 2 is one of those things where the inciting incident is the universe randomly deciding, this is Joel Miller fellow, he needs to fucking die. And then it just, like, somehow the stars all align in such a manner that allows it to even happen, which is absurd.
We use the word contrived a lot when describing the story and its beats. So that's the same thing with the side characters. They're just there, and then all of a sudden one of them dies, or one of them has to be pregnant. It's, oh, really? That makes things complicated. So not to say they're horrible inclusions, just that's the constant element. And
I just had, sorry to cut you off, Smud. I just had a thought thinking about this whole scenario thing with Abby and everything. I never thought of before. What if, she's on her quest to kill Joel? What happens if he died before she got to him? What was she going to do then?
Well, that's the thing is, there's a lot of stories that will have this issue, especially in a post-apocalyptic setting where there's no way to really verify that the person that you're going after is still alive, especially given how dangerous the world is in that particular setting. Any number of things could have happened to Joel in those 4 years, and yet she's still hunting after him. It's like, it's just implausible. I mean, I think that they even said in the first game, Neil Druckmann's original plan for the first game was to have Tess, the sort of love interest / partner in crime that Joel had in the first couple hours of the game. She was going to, I guess, get crossed by Joel in some manner.
Yeah, she was going to be the original villain. I remember. I know what you're talking about. She was. I think Joel was supposed to kill her brother, I believe.
Okay.
And she was going to take revenge on him, and she was going to hunt him down until he got to Utah, until he got to the Firefly Blaze or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but you are right. She was going to cross him, but I think it was something about her brother maybe, and they just dropped it.
I do know they added or rather cut out content. They wanted Abby to be integrated into Jackson, and then finally when she's she knows exactly who Joel is and how to get to him in a trap. That's when she kills him. Now, that probably would have worked out a little bit more for exposition and making a more believable scenario where,
yeah, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, because it just happened to be they found Joel and Tommy exactly where she wanted them. And
you could easily, by the way, streamline it too, so that you actually have the whole Seraphites plot happen in Jackson with Abby there, rather than during Seattle. So you could actually have this plot happen with the Seraphites, and then after Abby has been established enough to the player, she kills Joel. So you get your little crazy Glasgow smile cult people with their transgender defector, and then tell the revenge cycle story in a way that's less contrived. That's a possibility. I'm not saying that the game would have been better. That's pitching almost a very different game structurally speaking. However, it's easy. It's easy for me to imagine a way to execute that better than what they tried going for here with the order of events.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine it like after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Whining like a little baby. I've seen a lot of people share this sentiment that it's completely out of character for Joel to die how he does.
Okay, you know what? Let's just we'll let him finish this, and then we'll just.
Which is to me, because to me the most jarring, most bizarre part of this game was where Joel busts in with a guitar and starts.
Are you fucking kidding me? The first game established that he knows how to play the guitar. Literally, when you are playing as Sarah in the house in the first fucking game, you pass by a guitar, which already confirms, okay, either Joel or Sarah play guitar. And then the fact that there's a line of dialogue, there's this exchange of dialogue between Joel and Ellie. I think after winter, it's like the first thing that they talk about in spring. He's like, oh, on days like this, I would sit on my porch and I'd play my guitar. You know what? I like to teach you how to play guitar, He mentions in the fall section that he would have wanted to have been a singer when he was a kid. Which is like, okay, so he has some experience with singing. Like this scene here is actually really nice. This is like one of the only scenes in the game that I actually genuinely love. And this was written a long time ago. This scene here was written for some live event that they did, like The Last of Us Live or something, where they had Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson actually act this out on stage. This was back in 2014 or 2015. And Neil Druckmann presented this and was like, this was my way of saying goodbye to Joel and Ellie. Like, yeah, right, you fucking liar. But no, this is not weird at all. This is completely 100% in character. Dunkey, you fucking idiot.
Even if it was never introduced in the first game, there's nothing wrong with revealing, oh yeah, this person has other skills. They can do other things. And it's like learning that, Commander Riker can play the trombone. It's like we don't need to know that the first few episodes, but maybe later on, sure, why not? Let's get some characterization going.
It feels like this is sarcasm. Like this whole thing is sarcasm. It's like, I can't believe how he died. But how crazy is it that he knows how to play the guitar? It's like, it's not that crazy. This sounds like sarcasm.
Joel dying in this world, so Ego, or I'm assuming it's Ego Dreamer. Joel dying was unavoidable in the context of this brutal world. How he did was stupid in the least. So unavoidable, not sure given what things were like in Jackson. But I'm not opposed to him dying brutally in a really terrible manner in this world. In this game, you could have him ripped apart by clickers. You could have it be extremely excruciating. And yes, it would be fitting for the setting that they're going for. Yeah, again, you could have it play out exactly the way it does, where he gets his fucking kneecap blown off and then he gets clubbed with a golf club for several hours. There's ways to get there without it being contrived. It's just the fact that he had to act so out of character it's so obnoxious to me.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
That's part of the not giving the character any kind of respect. They dumb down the IQ specifically just to kill him off.
Yeah, imagine if Rey or Kylo killed off Luke in TLJ, you'd be like, holy crap, that's insane. But because it was this force method of suicide that he just...
But that was still dumb.
It was still dumb, but can you imagine how freaked out people would be if Kylo somehow killed Luke? Like, people would flip out.
Like, no, Luke just lost 20 IQ for some reason, and he's like, oh, well, I guess Kylo just killed me, lol.
Right.
You'd still have people defending it.
Oh, for sure.
Let's not be naive. You would still have people defending every stupid decision, you know.
Oh, fuck yeah, you would. I've lost so much hope in humanity these past few years.
Oh, shiny.
What Joel does. He doesn't do this. Now, the Joel I know just kind of stands around and grunts. And when he goes somewhere new, he goes, man, this place smells like a goddamn...
This is literally the beginning of the game, by the way. So there's this thing that characters do. It's called an arc. They grow. They develop out of... Like, they start out as one person. They grow into another person. And it happens organically as a result of what they experience in the story. It's storytelling 101. And you're literally strawmanning the people that are upset about how he is suddenly this completely different person without any development that actually earns this new different Joel, replacing the Joel that like a lot of time was spent writing and then executing as well as they did in the first game. You're trying to go, oh no, the Joel that I remember is how he was at the beginning of this game here, where he's just grunting. Like, you're literally showing like cutscenes and gameplay from the beginning of the first game. What is this?
I just have a question. Did Southpaw just beep for anyone else?
Beep?
I didn't hear it.
Maybe it was just me, but I could have sworn that I heard Southpaw beep.
Beep.
He beeped.
What like the fucking Roadrunner? Me.
No, like a, you know when someone hits like the number on the phone, just like a boop.
Oh, really?
No, okay,
I
maybe
didn't
I'm
hear
just going
anything.
crazy. I'm just hearing things.
I was thinking of Beaker from the Muppets, but okay. Me. All right, let's keep going.
Cheeto. And then he sees a dude limping along asking for help. He goes, that guy ain't even hurt. Joel fucking sees Tommy. He goes, hell, that
he doesn't
ain't
trust
real
people.
Tommy.
Exactly.
He's kind of jumping around in the timeline here a little
That's
bit.
the Joel from the beginning of the original game. When we first played as him, he was an empty husk of a person that's just going through the motions, and over the duration of the first game, we gradually see him transform back into an actual human being.
He actually will still have his survival instincts, though. That's the thing. He goes from being hardened to, sure, he opens up to Ellie. However, this is like, that doesn't mean that he suddenly is an idiot that doesn't realize what world he's living in.
And he's arguing from the perspective of the first game? That's strange, because he never loses those skills in the first game, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Correct. In fact, there is a level in the first game where you play as him after he's softened up like this that indicates, oh yeah, he's still crazy badass Joel. That's the hospital level where you can sneak past every Firefly if you wish. However, most people will butcher every single last one that they see. Or at least have the chance to kill. Listen, I played it ungrounded. It is very possible to kill every last Firefly in that level very easily. And I do it with pleasure now. But
you're just a psychopath.
Yeah.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
Who is eating their mic?
Purpose. The Joel
might be
we
me.
see the rest of us too,
All right,
no longer
it's an old
has
microphone.
To run everybody over.
Try
in a truck
push to
because
talk.
He traded his truck for a horse,
What?
and in the end, it's some dumb incidental slip up that gets him killed. Christopher says, this story was terrible. Now, Christopher makes an excellent point here, but I actually disagree. Monster Hunter World, Doom Eternal, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Devil May Cry 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Gears of War 5, Pokemon Sword, Far Cry 5, Wolfenstein 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn. I've played all of these games, and some of them are actually good games, but now I am going to recount everything I remember about the story to these games. In Doom, you go to hell. I can tell you characters from these games, like the funny Yoda and the talking chicken.
He's a
but
shit
I can't
character.
actually recall specific story beats. You know, these stories, they left such little impact on me. Now, Last of Us 2.
Well, okay, whoa, okay. Oh, jeez. Who wants to take this?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, who wants to take this? His argument right here is that these are bad games because they left so little impact. I can't remember exactly what happened on them. Now he's going to say something with The Last of Us 2. Let's just hear what he has to say.
I can.
Hang on. Let me just see what he's listing here.
Specific story beats. You know, these stories, they left such little impact on me.
You have to go a bit further back as he brings up the list.
Okay.
Back a little bit more. There we go. This is the list.
Let's see. So there's only I've only played one game in this entire list, Spider-Man. So I'm just gonna. I haven't played Spider-Man in a while. I'm gonna replay it pretty soon. However, I can verify that he's full of shit here. Do you guys care about spoilers in Spider-Man? There's a pretty major character in the Spider-Man lore that dies at the end of this game.
The game's been out for a long time, so
Aunt May fucking gets killed off at the end of Spider-Man. It's pretty heartbreaking. There's basically this one of the villains releases this disease. We can call it the coronavirus. Okay, it releases the coronavirus, and there's a huge outbreak in New York City, and everyone's getting sick. Everyone's got the coof, and Aunt May gets the coof. And Peter is able to find like a dosage of this rare antidote, and he has a choice to either go ahead, like towards the very end, while Aunt May is very sickly and on the verge of death. He can either use the one sample of this antidote to save her life, or he doesn't use it so that they can like basically study it and then replicate the amount of doses that they need to save everyone, but that will mean that Aunt May will die. And so he's shown obviously he wants to save her, but then he ends up choosing not to save her at her own request. So if he's trying to say that that's not a memorable story beat, I mean, I guess that what's memorable is going to be very subjective, but holy shit, you're wrong.
Yeah, and I would agree that he's just saying that I remembered something in these stories, and I didn't remember anything from these stories. I personally took nothing away from them, but I took a lot away from Last of Us 2. That's not really any kind of argument, because that's your own experience.
It's a strange thing to say.
Your experience is important, but if you're going to make an argument, you need something which is more tangible, something which you can point to a board and say this, and that, rather than just saying, I felt this way.
Yeah, it's like saying, well, my arm got chopped off. It's excruciatingly painful. That's why it's so good. It's like, no, that's a bad thing that happened to you. It was extremely painful, and that's why you remember it so well. It's a strange... I've never heard the argument of because it's an intense memory, therefore it's a good story. It's like, no, that's not how stories work.
You know what was an intense memory for me? So I've only seen Transformers Revenge of the Fallen once. I saw it when it first came out, never saw it again. That was an intensely memorable experience for all the wrong reasons. That, like, to say, oh, because it's memorable, it's good. Like, you have to understand, there are some memorably terrible stories out there, and Transformers 2 is one of them. So, fuck this argument.
Story to the
also, isn't Ghost of Tsushima like extremely highly praised? Like its quality.
Characters from these games, like the funny Yoda and the talking.
I'm sorry, what?
So what I said? You're asking about what I said?
Yeah. So what did you say?
From what I've been told, Ghost of Tsushima has been like very highly praised for its writing.
I wouldn't know. I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it either because I don't have a PlayStation. But I've just heard that it's amazing.
Chicken, but I actually recall specific story beats. You know, these stories, they left such little impact on me. Now, Last of Us 2, I can tell you what happened in that game. Some crazy ass shit. So let's just start here. Last of Us 2 is a
crazy
good
ass
story
shit
because it's
describes it very
memorable
well.
and dramatic. It's not an untouchable masterpiece. It's not perfect. It's just a good, entertaining story.
Wow.
Well, you're just throwing any kind of quality out there. If you're just saying, well, it's just entertaining. I can say a lot of things are just entertaining. Doesn't mean they're like excellently written.
Oh my goodness. Is the Princess Bride just a good, entertaining story? I mean, it has memorable quotes. Does that make it good? So does The Room. That has lots of memorable quotes.
It's a very memorable movie.
What a strange argument. It was a good and entertaining story. Wow. Okay.
Again, you need more arguments made.
Already knowing that Joel would die, and yet when it happened, I was still absolutely floored. This is such a brutal, horrific scene, and really, it's Ashley Johnson's performance as Ellie that sells it. They are killing.
Okay, so it's the performances of the voice actors, and the fact that the thing you like is getting brutally killed. Pick Mark Hamill getting brutally eviscerated slowly by Kylo Ren. You're like, okay, oh god, like that would be horrible. Yeah, that'd be very memorable for the wrong reasons. So, not the greatest way to argue that a story is good because the hero characters die in a very visceral way.
I mean,
off our favorite.
I mean, sure, the performance is good. Like a really strong performance can certainly elevate even a terribly constructed scene. The way the scene is directed is very memorable. However, it's the writing is really important, guys. Like how you get here. If you cheat to get here, it's going to undermine the payoff that you're looking for.
Well, the overall quality is made of like lots of things, not just the acting, but also the writing. So if you have one really strong element, like graphics, for instance, or acting, but if everything else is complete shit, then it falls apart. Which is why we don't usually talk about graphics or visual effects as much when talking about films, because the writing is often the core of that. And then we start to move on. Like once we talk about the writing, then you move on to the other elements because that's the core.
There are so many ways to do this scene, to give justice to the Abby character, to understand her position, and to actually like her. And people still do, just because they understand some of her story. But if they, for example, had her integrate with Jackson, give us some of her backstory she was alluding to, and why she's here, have this big foreshadowing event of what it all means. And then we see her do the bad things. So we have that one climax, that's the half of the story, and then we get to the final climax, where it's finally explained what's going on. There are ways to redeem villains. There are ways to create villains. And just having them as a villain and then going throughout the entire story, I hate you, now I get to play as you, this is nauseating, I hate this, doesn't quite, it's not the sales point you want to make. And there are ways to do it. There are ways to give bad stories or downer stories. Schindler's List is a great example, where we know Schindler is able to save all these Jews, even at the end where all the SS troopers are about to shoot all his Jew, what are they, factory workers? And he's like, no, don't go home. He's telling the SS, don't go home, murderers, go home to your family as heroes or whatever. Like he manages to do that. And they all say, thank you, you saved our life. Here's a ring representing in this Jewish tradition of giving you a hero, you saved the world. And he accepts it. And this is bittersweet moment where he's like, yeah, I did, but I got a lot of those people killed. I could have saved so much more. So there's this little glimmer of hope, this beautiful little ending there. But it's still a depressing, sad story. Look at the classics like Tosca, beautiful, Italian, just tragic story. And I can go on about that. I'm not going to, though. But there are ways to do it where the catharsis is earned. The catharsis means something. And you get, even when all the good guys die, there's still a way to do it.
I think that it really would have been interesting for them to actually try to make, they tried to make Abby likable, and they definitely succeeded with some people that don't apply any sort of critical thinking to what it means to actually redeem oneself from doing such a horrible act like this. So, Abby, to me, like if you want to redeem her, if you want to make her a redeemable person, first off, you don't have her sadistically, gleefully kill Joel off in such a prolonged, terrible manner. Like you make it a clean kill. But if you're gonna, if you're actually going to have her do this, then you have to spend a long time focusing on what a absolutely shitty person she is. There's a couple of references to it that are kind of spread out throughout her campaign, but they don't focus on it as much as I think that they should have, because it feels like when they're just making the occasional reference to, wow, it was kind of fucked up what you did to that Joel fellow there, while the rest of the game is them desperately trying to make her more sympathetic to you. It feels like they're trying to excuse her behavior with the occasional lip service to what the player is probably going to be feeling about her, rather than actually exploring what it is about her that's so fucked up that makes her capable of doing something like this. That I think even if we were in her position of having lost a family member, especially if it was a justified killing of our family member, as it was in the case of Abby's father, it's like, man, I don't know if I would, if someone had killed my parent, I'm not sure if I would spend hours beating them to death. I'd probably try to make it quick at the very least. It takes a special kind of fucked up, sadistic monster, psychopath, to indulge in something like this. Like, this is depravity.
Coming in.
And they really like to gloss over this.
Oh, they try to lampshade a lot of the story beats in between the main points. So while you're playing as Abby and you're talking to Lev, or you're playing as Ellie talking to was it Jesse, they'll talk about some of the plot holes, which I actually enjoyed. Because you watch these long-ass Let's Plays, and you see these little nuggets of, oh, don't you think, Ellie, that they're going to come after us after we do this? And then there's this great little moment. It's like, yes, thank you. You're addressing it. It's not enough to cover the whole, but it's at least they're intelligent enough to talk about it, and it shows the problem with Ellie's character, which most people will probably see as a great idea, and it is a good idea, but it's not enough. They got to just keep pushing that point. Keep pushing that point forward, so we see the breakdown in Ellie's logic and the problem she's got to that point, and that's where we get a climax, but they never give one. So there's good things like that. It's just not enough.
Because they, I just want to quickly say, they arguably do this with Walter White in Breaking Bad. They constantly push on his pride as his fatal flaw. It's constantly getting him into deep shit. It's constantly fucking up his whole life. And the fact that he refuses to just admit that he's doing this meth cooking stuff for himself rather than just to make sure that his family has money after he dies. And I think that the story really builds up on the consequences that come about because of that flaw, and then actually has him come to a realization and sort of own up to what a shitty person he was the whole time. Abby doesn't really own up to that, though. Sure, her consequences are, for what she did to Joel, is the other people that were there when she killed Joel, they die. She loses her friends. So if you could try to, you could see that as paying some sort of consequence for what she did, in that her quest for revenge cost her the lives of all her friends. However, it almost seems a bit cheap, so the price that you pay for your shitty actions is lesser in comparison to the price that the others paid.
Well, not only that, not to cut you off there, Southpaw.
No,
not only that,
fine.
But whenever Ellie confronts one of Abby's friends and she's demanding to know where Abby is, they are quick to defend her.
Yes.
Like even though they acknowledge, yeah, that was kind of a messed up thing you did, they're still going to, die for her.
Which is kind of insane to me because I would like to think if they want us to sympathize with these characters, like if you want Nora to be sympathetic to us, fucking Nora. If you want her to be sympathetic, you have her actually realize, holy shit, yeah, what we did to Joel was kind of fucked up. No, what Nora does is she taunts Ellie, and there was I think in my stream, like, all right, fuck you, your life doesn't matter, you're going down, because yeah, if you partake in such a brutal, sadistic murder, and you do it in front of like your victim's loved one, and then that person, the person that was like the witness to your crime, comes and confronts you. If you want these characters to be sympathetic, you have them kind of own up to, well, I kind of deserve this, or at least my friend kind of deserves this. You don't have them be willing to take the bullet for them, basically. But no, Nora goes, yeah, the little bitch got what he deserved. Fucking cunt.
You also see it with a contrast between Ellie and her revulsion of killing Mel after she discovers she's pregnant, and Abby about to kill Dina, rather excited that Dina's pregnant. So it's like, oh,
yeah, that's
very sympathetic.
Yeah, and we're supposed to still like Abby at that point.
Yeah, we're supposed to feel like she's actually redeemed herself, but no, she's like, oh, good, I get to do a double kill here.
She's worried about a kill to death ratio on the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Double kill.
Of us. This is the appropriate reaction. Compare this to Final Fantasy VII Remake, where Jesse dies.
So the reaction
how is this comparable?
was how bullshit it was, really. Sure, some people were upset just because of how brutal it was. I don't give a shit about those people. I don't give a shit about people that think that, oh, you can't kill off your main character in such a brutal way. I don't agree with that. But everyone that reacted like in anger because of how contrived it was, how unearned it was, they're completely right. So, but he's never going to address this. Well, I mean, he tries to address it. He literally just tried to go, oh, well, Joel's a different person now, which is also the same excuse that Neil Druckmann tried to use in some podcasts.
Well, to explain that Joel's a different person for the better or for the worse or whatever, it doesn't matter what direction he went, you actually have to tell that story. And we can only fall back on what we know of him, and you cannot make assumptions like, well, because it's been in the future, he's softened. It's like, no, that's not an argument. You have to show us that. You can't just say it. A change requires a climax. That's how stories work. If you don't have that character arc that leads to a climax and he makes a choice, there's no growth. And it could be negative, it could be positive, it doesn't matter. You need to have that story. And without that story component, you can't make these assumptions. So now in this example, this is really great because he's talking about the remake to Final Fantasy VII, and a sideline character called Jessie is now brought into the forefront. And everyone suddenly loves Jessie, and for good reason, because Jessie likes Cloud. And it's only hinted on, I believe, in Final Fantasy VII, the original. And now it's because in full 3D, fully voice acted, she's now an actual character who flirts with Cloud, sort of motivates Cloud, and she has a tragic foreshadowing death. It's a fantastic little interlude for a side character that represents one of the main characters. And that's why this remake, I didn't really like too much of the remake, but Jessie's probably the highlight for me in the whole thing.
Now, shit about Jessie. She is a two-dimensional, super annoying character, but what's really messed up is that Cloud doesn't care either. Right as she is about to die, he goes, "You owe me a pizza." When Jessie...
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. Cloud is Cloud. Everyone knows Cloud's personality or lack thereof, whereas Jessie is this upbeat character who's into Cloud, but she's also motivated to do the job. Compare that to one of the other female leads, Aerith. She's upbeat, she's happy, also into Cloud. What's going to happen to Aerith? So it's this wonderful little foreshadowing. It gives Jessie so much character, so much characterization. It's a beautiful thing. And people love her. She's adorable. She's simple. We get her. She doesn't have to have that much depth. Side characters don't need it. That's not the point of side characters. It helps tell a story, but we don't need to latch on to all these unnecessary details.
he dies, I go, okay, whatever. When Joel gets killed off, I am sitting here like, holy shit.
Okay, he just compared Jesse to Joel. I don't even have to go into that.
I am emotionally affected by this, and now the rules are off the table. Anything can happen from here on out. I love when a story can actually surprise me and veer into unknown territory. I am so burnt out.
How could it surprise you? You knew it was going to happen. You even said so.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of predicted that Joel was going to die somehow in this game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you watch like the first trailer, I mean, I assumed it was going to be Ellie's girlfriend that was going to die. I mean, granted, it was the marketing that led us to believe that, to be honest.
Which is false advertising.
Right.
I do want to say, marketing actually. So I had this interesting discussion with a fellow called the Thought Theater. And I think that marketing is a really terrible argument to make. Like, how something is marketed should not be actually used to measure its quality. So, for instance, has anyone here seen The Grey? Liam Neeson movie?
I've seen clips of it, not from start to finish, but I've seen clips of it.
I have not.
Okay, so when I saw The Grey, what I was expecting was some action, survival, adventure type movie, kind of like The Edge, but it's Liam Neeson versus wolves. That's not what I got. I got a very kind of deep, substantive movie that was very focused on death. It was a very bleak story. Wasn't what I was expecting. Didn't like it as a result of that because of what the marketing had led me on to believe. However, if you look past that and then you just watch it for what it's trying to do, for what it actually is, not what it was marketed as, because marketing is kind of like it's meta material, if you get what I mean. It's it's not actually a part of the product itself.
It's hype and lies, essentially.
Yes. Now, I think that, of course, you can still be bothered by false advertising, like a story being marketed in a very poor way that does not accurately represent what it actually is. Absolutely, 100%. But doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually badly written because of that. And I want to make that explicitly clear.
Formula bullshit stories, so when something crazy happens in a video game, I'm here going, hell yeah, now Ellie has to go to outer space to fight aliens or some shit. Man, this is the first time I've disagreed with Dunkey. Wow, this game sucks. But also, I've never played this game before, or the first one. Here's a comment from Hideo Kojima. He says, don't listen to him, y'all. He didn't Kojima, get out of here. You don't make this game. Dunkey is an idiot. Too popular and has lost any sort of credibility when it comes to reviews. People don't know why they hate it, except countless 4-hour reviews breaking down everything that makes the game bad with far better reasoning than anything in this video.
4 hours?
There's
4-hour-long videos that break down the game?
There's two. Yeah, I actually saw.
That's impressive. Only 4 hours.
Yes, I'm sure there are much larger ones out there, Southpaw. But the ones that I saw, I was trying to find it. I was trying to.
Oh, we lost Shiny.
Shiny! Oh no, he'll be back. Don't worry. The ones that I saw, there were two of them. They were roughly 3.5 to 4 hours. One of them is kind of like it's good but mixed. The other one is just breaking it down and seeing how much of a mess it was. So I don't know exactly what he's referring to. I'm assuming it's the negative one in this case.
Now, this comment is actually a masterpiece. He's mad that I said people don't know why they're mad. But at the same time, he still doesn't understand why he's mad. He references some mystery 4-hour video. He doesn't know what the video is called, and he can't name a single point from the video.
You see, when people reference things without a point, that's kind of the whole point of the reference. It's like, listen, just go here and read that, or watch that. And
I'm back from the dead, sorry.
Oh, hey, Shiny. So
I tried rendering, didn't like it.
Oh dear, you're working on your videos still? Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that people leave references to links or to titles of videos or books or what have you, so they don't write a giant paragraph. It's like, just go over there and watch that and see what you think. So Dunkey's making fun of the person doing that, which is silly.
There are smart, level-headed people with functioning brains who don't like The Last of Us 2 for valid reasons. And
that's most of them.
This is not one of them.
That wasn't a valid reason, though, he gave. The Cheesecake Factory shouldn't have been taken out of the game. Like, what does that mean?
Well, I know I'm saying, like, most of the people that don't like the game have valid reasons for it. It's just... whatever.
Dunkey, thank you, boss. Here we go. The world of Last of Us is not advanced in the slightest.
Whoa! You just skipped over the first point entirely. That dude had a point 1. You just skipped a point 2. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Let's rewind.
Last of Us 2 video. Oh. What the fuck? There are smart, level-headed people with functioning brains who don't like The Last of Us 2 for valid reasons. And this is not one of them. I'll tell you why we're mad, Dunkey. Thank you, big boss. Here we go.
Okay. So, they disrespect Joel, a character we all loved so much, by having him be killed off by a protagonist. Shouldn't have gone out like a little bitch. So, well, this point in particular, my issue with it is so what do we mean by disrespect exactly?
Shit writing, I assume.
I mean, having him be killed off by a new protagonist isn't necessarily disrespectful, and having him killed off in a brutal manner isn't necessarily disrespectful either. What was disrespectful was how they had him turn into an idiot so that it could all happen in the first place. That was disrespectful.
And they could have easily told the story of Joel being the Joel we know and doing all these careful things, and then a series of events cause other events not to occur, like not killing off Ellie and Tommy, because that would be the logical choice for all these people. And there's lots of ways to do that. Like, I don't know, a zombie pops in or a zombie horde keeps attacking the lodge. There's so many things to do to keep them, oh, we should have killed you off, now we're just going to run away. To allow the character's motivation to be consistent. Like, oh, they're going to hunt us down now. We got to kill all the witnesses. Like, the thought process of the WLF is just dumb. So it's a series of dumb coincidences with dumb people in them.
I can't help but wonder if all the people that are like bending over backwards to defend the retarded way that Joel died, if they would be acting the same way if, I don't know, David's son hunted down Ellie and killed her for killing his dad, and then Joel went through the exact same arc where he's, trying to kill David's son, and then he has a vision of Ellie playing the guitar, and then he decides to just let him go. Like, do people not realize? Do these people not realize how fucking pissed they would be if that was the story? If they just swapped the genders and the characters around a little bit? Interesting. Just interesting. Just tell the exact same story. Tell the same story, but change the character that gets killed and change the gender of the killer.
It's the same argument.
Yeah, not only that, it would be like a retread of the first Last of Us game. Joel lost a daughter at the very beginning of the game, and now here's an entire game where you lose your second surrogate daughter.
Yep.
It's the same argument we heard with the character Luke in TLJ. And again, if someone brutally killed Luke the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the show, the last Jedi gone. It's like, whoa, that was the last Jedi. You're right. So that would be pretty sad. A lot of people pissed off very quickly. So, and then you'd have this entire arc of trying to redeem Kylo Ren. It's like, nope, not interested.
Well, they tried that after he killed off Han Solo.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Like, without even having a whole lot of time pass after he did that too.
So it's fine. Now we're gonna have Reylo after a day of Kylo killing Han Solo. Great.
Oh, you killed my father figure. That's so hot.
I'm so alone. Let's touch hands.
I believe there's good in him. A day after he killed his father.
All right.
Bad boy, can you please put on push to talk?
Oh, sorry. All right. I'll put it on push to talk. I don't know what's going on with my mic.
world of Last of Us is not advanced in the slightest. Nothing happens. It's nothing more than a revenge narrative, and it feels lazy, like it could happen to anyone in Last of Us Part 2. But Last of Us Part 1, that story was Ellie and Joel to experience, and given all of this, and Cuckman's reputation for being a male feminist, the fact that Abby kills Joel when she is strongly implied to a transgender, it feels like Cuckman was pushing an agenda. Big Boss, I just want to thank you for finally making me understand why people hate this game so much. Tiger Sushi asks, what was...
He just lets it go. Thanks, Dunkey.
More creative this game than Part 1. I had the opposite feeling, that it was very one-note compared to the original. Well, Tiger Sushi, to me, the original game is Zombie Up. Am I wrong, dude?
Zombie up? Okay, let's hear him out.
He loses his loved one, then he gets old and grumpy, then he meets a twerpy little kid, and the old guy's like, damn, this kid is annoying. Then they go on an adventure, and eventually the old guy goes, hey, this kid...
Wow, yeah, if you decide to...
Dumb it down?
Apply strokes this broad, Jesus Christ. So you could literally do this with fucking anything. You could say that, I don't know, Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, he's just like Arthur Fleck in Joker, you know? Never mind the fact that the two characters are executed completely differently from each other. Wow, okay.
So bad. Last of Us 2 does not remind me of any Pixar movies. I can't name a...
And that's your standard for quality. It doesn't remind you of a Pixar film.
No. Last of Us Part 2 absolutely reminded me of a Pixar film. Reminded me of Toy Story 4, and you do not want to remind me of Toy Story 4.
Single video game where you stop halfway and play as the villain for the rest of the game. To me, that was a really creative move. The first game is more predictable.
Okay, that's really nothing new in video games. There's plenty of games that do that. I mean, look at the GTA series. Everyone's a criminal. That's kind of the focus of the game. But even as back as 2000, I can remember Breath of Fire 4. You play Fulu and Ryu back and forth. That's kind of the focus of the story there as well. So there's plenty of games like God of War. You play Kratos, you murder everyone. What other games?
Just gonna kill him.
Well, specifically, it's a story of revenge. So yeah, he kills everyone. Prototype, pretty brutal. You could play. Well, you mostly kill everyone anyway, whether you play properly or evilly. Yeah, I'm sure there's others out there. There's probably a whole genre or subgenre for playing as the villain. So it's nothing groundbreaking. There's nothing new about playing as an anti-hero or as
Megamind, Despicable Me.
Yeah, there's all kinds. It's not a big deal. It's how it's done that's the problem.
Well, not to mention, revenge story isn't exactly something new either.
No.
More consistent characters. Second game is like a roller coaster thrill ride with characters that are borderline schizophrenic. Now here's a
thrill ride, really. The whole flashback scene with when you play as Abby, when you switch to Abby, that's a thrill ride. That's like 15 hours of just, oh, I hate this character. Nope, still hate them. Nope, I still hate. And then you get to Ellie, I still hate Abby. It goes throughout the entire story. Even in Ellie's arc.
Bored and unengaged out of my mind.
It's weird, though, because I think Abby gets all the good weapons. She has different attacks. She walks differently. She moves a little bit differently. Whereas Ellie has to scrounge around and get better weapons and upgrade them. I guess there's both upgrades as well, both stories. But it's just the fact that the plot with Ellie is very, revenge is bad. All my friends die. Everything gets screwed up. And
revenge is bad, okay?
Yeah, and Abby's like, I'm going to go help some kids. It's like, because of a dream. Like, what? Why?
Reasons.
Genius guy. Zero mention of all the SJW trash pushed on us. People love the first game because it's not political in any way at all. Now stay with me, it gets better. Did the first game mention anyone's sexual orientation at all, apart from the trash DLC? The answer is no. How you guys don't see that is beyond me. What's great about these comments is that this is a man who is so convinced that he is correct. but turns out is 100% factually incorrect. Bill from the original game was gay. The game.
Yes, but it's extremely subtle.
That doesn't mean that it's political.
Mm.
When stuff. So generally speaking, when people say it's political, it doesn't mean. I mean, there's people out there that certainly think that the existence of gay characters means it's political.
I think a good example of that is definitely knobs. No bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. But then others think it's more like no. LGBT characters, they're fine. It's just a matter of how much focus is going to be on the fact that they're gay.
There's a whole conflict scene.
I think a very good example of how not to do a gay character, or I keep saying this, Belt Pots from Doctor Who don't have a character that constantly reminds us that they're gay every 5 minutes, and then the only character trait is that they're gay.
Yeah, with Bill, it's just you have to hunt down a note or a letter about the reference to him potentially having a male partner, whereas in The Last of Us 2, there's a whole conflict scene and a cutscene that addresses this guy apologizing to Ellie for making a rude remark. It even shows him apologize. He's not, it's not like this, the anti-gay people are bad. It's like, no, the anti-gay people are actually apologizing for being anti-gay. So it is a showcase of the character of Ellie and her immaturity for receiving a delicious sandwich.
Biggest sandwich.
The sinner's sandwich.
The biggest bigot.
He points out several times that Bill is gay. Doc Holliday, you are a bonobo ape.
I'm sorry, did you say that they mentioned it multiple times? Give me 1 sec.
Was gay. The game points out several times.
No, so he mentions that he has a partner named Frank. That could be read in multiple different ways on your first playthrough. Then, when it turns out that he apparently had a stash of gay porn magazines in his little hideout that Ellie steals, it becomes clear, I guess it's that kind of partner, but it's after Bill is already out of the story, and they don't focus on that too much. They focus on the fact that he had a partner, but that was it. They don't constantly jam it down your throat, pardon the euphemism, that Bill is gay.
This is a side character. This is not a secondary character like Dina. So it's or Ellie who's gay. So it's like, yeah, that's good world building, but so what? They could be a giraffe for all I care. It doesn't make a difference.
That Bill is gay. Doc Holliday, you are a bonobo ape. Ed Dobbs says Fallout 76 was a better experience than Last of Us Part 2.
Probably
Last
true.
of Us haters, this guy is on your side. So if you want to come on my side now, no one will judge you. People can have different opinions, and I respect yours. Wait, what the fuck? Is this still YouTube comments? But killing off the best character in the game and then making you play as the scumbag who killed him for 20 hours is terrible game design. This is a loaded comment. The relationship between Joel and Ellie.
I mean, it definitely leaves one without much reason to be invested in seeing what happens.
It is essentially seeing someone murder your family and going, oh, I'm supposed to like this now? I don't know. Maybe people go to tragic stories for catharsis. It's to alleviate those emotions. But you get to that point at the end of a story. This is classical tragedy or tragic dramatic structure, if you want to talk about opera or operettas back in the day, even with Homer. This is how it was done. You don't start off murdering a beloved character. It would piss people off, and it does. And then trying to get us to like the person who did it you've dug yourself in a hole, and then you've built a mountain out of the dirt you've just dug out, and you have to climb that mountain. It's really hard, and you have to know the basics of getting your audience invested in characters and making them care. There's not enough room for us to like Abby or plot for us to care about Abby when she does this horrific thing. And then we have to have a flashback of her, and then we have to play as her, and then we have multiple flashbacks. It's like, oh, wow, she liked this guy called Owen. Oh, wow, she had a dad. And it's like you're doing it in the opposite order. And even then, people who like the game still hate Abby because of what she did. And I don't understand these people. How could they could rationalize this?
It would have been like more bearable if there was at least like a character in this that was nearly as interesting as Joel or even Bill, and there just wasn't. So I don't know, man. If you have your best character killed off at the very beginning, and then you can't really replace him with a character that's even close to being as interesting as him, man, that's I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad storytelling, but good luck keeping your audience's attention, I guess.
And plus, it still comes down to how they were killed and how there was a lack of attention to build Abby up. This is what we had to do. I said this multiple times throughout the year. You have to break Joel down. We have to demonize him, and we have to uplift Abby. There wasn't enough of that. And you really needed to do that in order for everything to level out dramatically and go, oh, yep, Abby got what she needed. Yep, Joel got what he deserved. Like, you had to get that reaction, and we never get it.
Yep.
The original game, just as its absence defines the sequel. You do still have some parts with Joel, like the museum sequence, which is one of my favorite parts of the whole game, but yeah, this is a sad game, and you really do come to miss that character dynamic.
Yeah, I would have been fine with having a sad game if Joel's death had been earned and everything else, like literally any of the payoffs in this game had been earned. None of them were.
Yeah, again, we talk about tragedy and stories. A lot of people in Shakespeare, classic operettas, they die. Everyone dies. It's really sad. But they die in a way that builds up to it so that when you cry, you feel better about it. With this, it's basically a jump scare for I guess, I don't know, drama. It's like, oh my God, the thing I like is getting destroyed. Why would you go to a movie, or why would you go to a restaurant and say, please feed me shit? Here's my money. Here's my time and money. No one does this. When you go to a sad film or a tragic film, there's something about the human condition you want to address and see and feel. You don't want to be beaten over the head with murder is bad, killing is bad. It's like, yeah, we get it. Life is pretty painful. I'm not here to feel sadness over something I love. It's like watching a puppy being crushed. That angers people.
Then there's the biggest trick of this game was to make Abby work as a character. How do you humanize her without hamming it up and turning her into a hero? Oh look, it's Abby's dad. What a great guy. He saves zebras. Also, he's gonna cut a little kid's brain out.
I won't let you take her.
Never mind, Joel shot her dad, and that's why she's evil now. But she's not evil because she loves Owen, but she doesn't give a fuck about Owen. She just wants to kill Joel. But look, she pets a doggy until she throws his ball over the fence. There are sympathetic things about her and horrible, repugnant things about her, and you just kind of sit on this moral teeter-totter. You fight this fucker zombie monster in the basement. You walk on a balancing beam between skyscrapers. You battle through this nightmare inferno. You end up going through so much stuff as Abby just to save these kids that eventually I went, damn.
After all we've been through.
Yeah, but the problem is still the plot. Why is she saving those kids a second time? And the only answer I can give is she had a dream. That's not a plot. You don't wake up when... you don't have a moment in the story where your character goes, hey, that was a bad dream. What happened to those kids I helped the other day? Let's go find out. That's not... It's such a strange thing when you compare it to what happened between her and Joel. What happened the first time she met Joel? Joel saves her life. And then what does she do? She murders him just with glee, in detail. She doesn't think about it. She doesn't get hesitant. Boom, boom, boom. Kill this man. What happens with Lev and Yara? Oh, gotta go help them.
Is the idea of like this character does something that's like absolutely horrific, they're redeemable as long as they save a couple of kids? Is that the metric that we have to use? There's no need to like look introspectively, think about what you've actually done, try to, make things right. Like when she finds out that the people whom were related to the guy that she killed, that she murdered brutally, were the ones that have killed her friends. She doesn't think for a second about like what she put them through. She's not thinking at all about how maybe now she's going through what she put them through. There's never that moment of realizing what a shitty person she was and how she deserves everything that's coming to her. And we're supposed to be sympathetic to her. I'm okay with her being human and being selfish and being more focused on her own pain rather than having the empathy to think about the people who've murdered her friends. However, again, game glosses over that flaw of hers to make you go, see what a good person Abby is? You're really supposed to like her here. And it just doesn't work for me.
There's only there's only that one scene, and this is why I mentioned, which I actually enjoy, but they're like little lampshades, but not enough in between major plot points. And it's Abby with Lev. I think they've gone through the walking part, and they fall through the glass into the pool. And Lev's asking her, "Why are you doing this?" And she says, "I gotta loosen the load." Guilt. That's it. Guilty for what? You have to tell us what what do you feel guilty over? She hasn't been having dreams over or nightmares over killing Joel. She's been having nightmares over the death of her father. And the last dream she has, or the second last dream she has, is the one of Yara and Lev being tied up. And it's like, are you being motivated by dreams? You're guilty over the death of your dad? Like, what exactly do you feel guilty over? If it's guilt over killing Joel, I never got a hint of that. That never happened. So people are saying, oh, she's trying to redeem herself. Redeem herself from what? Everyone we meet hated Joel. They're 100%, I hate Joel. He has to die. He's a little bitch, yada, yada. That is the team that went 1,000 miles across America to hunt this guy down for where he might be. On the sheer hope he might. There's a guy called Joel somewhere. It's insane. Like, that's not a plot. That's a pipe dream. And then of course we have there's other problems with the story, like with Maria. I don't know if you remember the story with Maria. Right after Joel dies, Dina and Ellie go to talk to Maria, and Maria's like, Tommy told me I wanted you to tell Ellie and Dina stay here. Tommy will go take care of it. So he explicitly wants Ellie to stay in Jackson. And instead, Maria says, okay, I'm not going to let you do that. You go after and get Tommy and bring him back. Which is kind of the opposite of what we know of Maria from the first game, where she really wants to protect everyone and she's kind of like the mother hen. But here she's like, no. Go get Tommy and bring him back, which is, I don't know how that's going to work. Especially when you're sending two teenage girls, one of them who's emotionally destroyed, to go, I don't know, argue with some survivalist guru, an ex-Firefly dude who is more than capable of handling himself. I don't know how he's going to commit an assassination on Abby and everyone, but that's Tommy. Tommy is a goddamn machine in The Last of Us 2. So it's kind of this strange thing. She's doing the exact opposite thing that Tommy asked her not to do, and Maria is supposed to be protecting this town. And then the same argument comes, well, what if you're successful? Are you telling me the WLF, this massive organization, is not going to come hunt down Jackson? They're not going to know?
Right.
It's kind of this weird series of contrivances that either do or do not come to pass, that just makes me go, come on, guys. Just fill in the blanks. If you wanted to tell this story this way, just get the groundwork done. Don't start changing characters' perspectives because Maria's feeling selfish. Like, why is Maria doing that? I don't know.
Right.
The same with the scene where they don't kill Ellie and Tommy. They should have killed them totally, but then again, there should be another reason why they don't, as opposed to Owen stepping in and saying, no, don't do it. And then kicking Ellie in the face. Have the zombies burst in then. Have it be out of their controls. Everyone scatters and they all run away. That would have been fine.
I've done. It can't be for nothing.
I'm Tommy from The Last of Us 2. I get shot in the temple by a magic bullet that performs surgery on me off screen. Does he really get shot in the head?
So fucking stupid.
Okay, I can explain this.
No, you can't.
Tommy is actually a character from Call of Duty Black Ops 4, where it takes 4 headshots to kill someone.
What?
Okay.
He's
right.
being stupid. He's like saying, "Oh look, oh well, obviously you can survive the gunshots at the back of the head."
I'm giving him points for funny on that one. Actually, he seems to acknowledge the absurdity of Tommy surviving that. So I'm all right. Thank you, Dunkey. Finally, he said something that was actually kind of entertaining to me.
Game that takes itself seriously, so when it makes goofy mistakes, they stick out like a sore thumb. The main to me is how characters can now teleport. In the original game, it is a major pain in the ass to get anywhere. I mean, that was the whole plot of the game. And this one, right off the bat, Abby and her friends traveled 900 miles through a zombie apocalypse to investigate.
Yep, that's just one major contrivance. You found the first major contrivance in the sequence of contrivances that led to Joel's death. It's almost like Joel's death isn't earned.
A rumor that might be somewhere. Then Ellie teleports to Seattle. Then she teleports to Wyoming. Then she teleports to California. The story is designed to be this horrific train wreck, but it does lean on contrivance a little too hard. This makes
absolutely. Holy shit! Thank you, Dunkey. You've actually spotted a lot of the issues with this game. A lot of pretty big ones too.
So he's admitting the game's a train wreck. And it relies on contrivance too much. You're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
When a story is a train wreck, that's not a good story, Dunkey. Okay? Contrivances aren't good either. But thank you for admitting that.
Game. Whether or not you did, you still seem retarded. He misspelled retarded. The classic move. This game is just revenge bad, hammered over and over again. I really don't think this game or the original are about trying to hammer home some profound message. The fun of these games to me is trying to unravel and figure out these characters, and I feel like a lot
That's not a message. That's what? I don't even... The message of a story is to unravel characters? Like, what? No. This is not like... some murder mystery or something. It's just a revenge plot. Or 2 revenge plots.
Best character in this game went completely unnoticed. When you're playing as Ellie, you have all of these flashbacks to Joel where we find out the Firefly incident is driving a wedge between them. Ellie starts drifting away from Joel more and more until she finds out what really happened and cuts ties with him entirely. So when Joel gets killed, it dawns on Ellie that she wasted those few remaining years she had left with Joel.
No. Okay, that's not true. It happens the day before. She wanted to have the opportunity to forgive Joel. And this is a thing that happens right at the end of the game, where we learn the flashback of why she was so feeling guilty. It wasn't for years. It was like for one day. And Abby took that opportunity away from her to resolve issues she had with Joel. She didn't have the opportunity to forgive Joel anymore. And that's why she was so furious. Which you could argue is a good and bad thing because we're waiting for a plot. We're waiting to find out why she feels this way, aside from the obvious, I'm going to kill the person who killed my dad. So I don't mind it. That's a good technique of having a subplot or a secondary plot or a layer to a plot. That's fine. But it would have been nice if we had a more solid plot. Like, Ellie, do you know what you're doing? How are you going to accomplish this? You can't just go in a direction and hope for everything works out. Of course it has to because of game logic, right? You have to get the hero to their destination. So it's not years. It's one day, maybe.
resenting him. Guilt. This is what drives Ellie's revenge story. Later at the farm, Tommy comes to visit Ellie. He is just this broken man, physically and mentally, with his brother's death weighing so heavily over him. He knows Ellie still wants revenge, and he desperately tries to guilt her into pursuing Abby again because he can't. This is such a sickening, disturbing, and powerful scene, acted and written.
It's fine. The problem with Tommy is that at the beginning he's kind of reluctant because he has Maria. He's not too sure if the WLF are actually the WLF. He doesn't know where they are. He has all these things. But guess what? He still goes out and does it anyway. In this case, that's all he has left. But he can't walk right. He can't see right. And he has to rely on Ellie. And that's why he's pissed off. He feels hopeless. So yeah, you can call it dramatic. But is that it? The story's over? Ellie says, no, I'm staying here with Dina. The end? But until we have another reason. Oh, she has that. Was it PTSD? Whatever, the flashback in the barn.
Yeah, it's like some sort of PTSD.
It's this cockamamie dream subconscious bullshit. Abby has dreams. Ellie gets PTSD. It's like, come on, just give me a clear reason. Does it have to be some weird subconscious nonsense? I swear these people are reading too much Freud or something.
I do think Last of Us 2 is largely a condemnation of violence, but not in a cheesy, one-dimensional way. The game wants you to feel bad for what you've done, but it also wants to piss you off. It wants to fill you with hate and says, here you go, dude. Shoot these dickheads that killed Joel with a dynamite arrow. The Last of Us 2 is support the homosexual. That's why I'm not playing. So if anyone wants to jump over to my side, you cannot make the player feel guilt for their actions if they didn't have the ability to choose something other than violence. This is true. It's against the gamer rules to do this, just like how you can't be sad when Arthur Morgan dies because you didn't choose that. I don't disagree that you can make the player feel a more pronounced sense of guilt when it was a decision that they made. Yoga Jake talks about this a lot in his recent video, but I also think this dichotomy between the player and the character is one of the most interesting parts of this game. There are tons of games where the main character is just a vessel for the player, but here they have their own volition. When we start as Ellie, I am right there with her going, hell yeah, they killed Joel. Let's get these sons of bitches. And I shoot tons of people and it's fun because shooting video games are fun. And as it goes, her mission gets more and more depraved until she becomes the villain of the story. It's a game where the more you win, the worse things get, and I can understand why that would cause a disconnect, but I thought it was brilliant. I did feel bad for some of the things I did in this game, even if I was just following orders. This is what I love about Dunkey. Even though the game does not have Donkey Kong, he still gave it a 4 out of 5. Truly an unbiased game critic. Thank you, Sig. I do try to be as fair as I can, even to these smaller budget games where they can't afford to bring in Donkey Kong. My whole issue is the ending, which just throws away the point of the whole game. Literally tracked Abby through states with revenge as an intent, but just because she got a little kid, she gets to live to play golf another day? Alright, Rivera, you want to go there? You want to go there? The ending to this game is probably the most controversial part of it, which is saying a lot. Ellie sacrificed so much to get to this moment and kill so many people.
We also spend 25 hours minimum to get to this point, and it's all thrown away because of an asshole flashback that she gets to the person that was taken from her by the person that she is about to kill. None of it makes any sense, and she doesn't have the context for the kind of person that Abby is. All that she sees is Abby was on a cross or a pillar and is taking care of some kid. That is it. She doesn't actually, they never had a conversation. The last words that Abby shared with her were, she's pregnant? Good. Like that was it. And now she's
great
here.
Person.
Let's her go. My only experiences with someone were they killed my dad or my dad figure, and then they were about to sadistically, gleefully slit my pregnant girlfriend's throat, and then I found them again like a year later or so with no further context, and then I get a flashback to my father figure playing the guitar that he taught me to play that I'll no longer be able to play because they just bit my finger off. fuck no, I am not letting her go. Ellie does not act like a fucking person here. Doesn't even act like a character. Neil Druckmann clearly has a fucking hard-on for Abby and will just bend over backwards to make sure that she doesn't die, she doesn't pay the consequences for what she did, even if it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
There's also the idea of this being the actual surface level plot, the revenge plot. And this is all we really have with Abby until we get to the actual ending with the flashback describing what the reason was. But the reason is still motivated by revenge. And there's no redeeming quality to this. There's nothing, aside from exhaustion, aside from, oh, you know what, I just don't feel like it right now. But which implies she's going to be feeling like it tomorrow because she's going to have another PTSD event. What? How did anything get resolved? She just feels tired. Maybe she says, you know what? I'm done with this plot. The story's over. It's time to go home and go into press this CD and make it gold. You know, that's the only thing I can think of. She just drops the surface level plot because Joel was playing the guitar the day before he died. Like, what?
Only to change her mind at the last second. Kind of like that PS3 game. I think it was called The Last Donut. Now, when this happened, I went, what the fuck? I felt robbed. Even though I no longer wanted to kill Abby, it seemed like that was the inevitable conclusion to this story. If Naughty Dog really wanted to nail home this message of hate spawning hate, Ellie would kill Abby. Thematically, that is the more appropriate ending. However, I like the real ending more. This is a depressing game released in a miserable year. Can we not just have one optimistic little blip?
Oh my god, you think this is optimistic?
Holy shit. I would have been a lot more optimistic if there was justice for Joel, okay? There was no justice for Joel done in this game at all. And Joel did nothing wrong at the end of the first game either. He did not deserve what he got. He didn't deserve to get fucking killed. He didn't doom humanity. No. Fuck all the way off with this shit.
He could have let Abby die within seconds if he didn't help her at the start of the game. But because we need a story, the thing is, that entire event was wasted. That entire realization of the person you hate saved your life, never addressed. Never given that nice little layer of irony where Abby realizes, oh my god, I killed my savior. As much as I hated him, he saved my life. And her choice to go after Yar and Lev could have been motivated by that, as opposed to, I had a dream that they were hung up on ropes. I gotta go save them a second time. It's like, why? There's all these opportunities to tell the story they wanted, and they didn't know how to connect the dots. And the best we get are all the little side conversations when you're playing between the plot points, which is fine, but not enough. It's like an attempted solution. And I really wanted to see those conversations develop into something. That would have been interesting. That would have been, wow, I'm just about to cross this river. I don't feel like it. I don't have the motivation. I don't want to go save those kids anymore. I really did hate Joel. Or I don't want to kill Abby anymore. I really do forgive her. Or give me a definitive feeling here that makes sense. Because if you're really this confused and unmotivated to kill someone after they bit your goddamn fingers off, what does it take? It's strange because Ellie is clearly exhausted when she gets to the beach. She is like, ugh. And she still goes through with everything. She goes through a 5-minute slap fest. And she still can't finish the job. It's very strange. It's non-heroic. People are saying that Ellie is a hero for finally forgiving Abby. She never forgave Abby. She just gives up. That's not what characters do in stories. They don't have an ideal or they don't have a virtue and just drop the ball.
It's crazy to think of how undeveloped the conflict between Ellie and Abby is. They share like 3 scenes together. 1, Abby kills Joel. 2, the theater confrontation.
Yep.
3, the final fight. as far as like a protagonist-antagonist conflict goes, very undeveloped or underdeveloped, at least.
And we're talking about a video game where you have all the time in the world to create 40-hour RPG experiences. I always refer to Breath of Fire 4 because the protagonist is also the antagonist, but they're separate entities. And the final boss is, in fact, the antagonist. But it's just so obvious. It's the same idea. You play the game as the villain. He has his own empire to rule. You play the game as the hero. He has his plucky adventures, and they're going around trying to stop everything. It's so simple. It makes sense.
I mean, they could have at least gotten us, like, if you want to have these two get, like, kind of locked in a room together to have a discussion, I don't know. Have the two of them be imprisoned by the Seraphites or something. Like, oh, now they have a common enemy that they have to, like, they have to team up and fight this cult to survive. Could be interesting. They could have a conversation as they devise a plan or something. Anything. Fucking anything to develop to this ending and earn it.
Remember the scene in the movie theater where Abby pushes open the door and she goes into the back room and Ellie just jumps her? It's like, why did you just blow her head off? Like, what were you waiting for?
You have a machete, you have a pistol, you have a shotgun, you have a bow and arrow, you have little trap mines that you can lay, you have Molotov cocktails. Why aren't you using any of them? You hit her with a fucking plank instead.
Yeah, is she asking for a conversation? Stupid. Does she want to just like beat her up so she can talk to her? Like, what do you want to do to her? Just give us is it murder? I'm quite sure it's murder because you kill all her friends, no problem. Well, not no problem, but you do kill all her friends. And why don't you kill the number one suspect? What's stopping you? It drives us nuts. It's so aggravating to talk about this because there's so much buildup. And they couldn't do it. And that's what catharsis needs. It needs I'm talking about tragedy again. Tragic stories usually involve a lot of dead bodies, especially the final scene. The same way all romantic comedies, at least in Shakespeare, end with a marriage. Because that's the point. All this rigmarole, all these jokes, and all this fighting between lovers. Give them what they finally fought for. Love, a marriage, a ring, whatever. And Tosca, she throws herself from the parapet. And she doesn't say, I'm going to meet God with my lover. I'm going to go be judged by God with the villain. Because they were revenging on each other. That's how serious that tragedy was. So you gotta give something to the audience. And that whole bullshit where she walks into, you know what? When she walked into the forest, I thought she was going to commit suicide or something. Because she has nothing left. What has she got? Nothing. She can't. Joel is gone. Dina's gone. Everything's gone.
Saves Abby, who spares Ellie, who ultimately saves both of their lives. Ellie remembers her final conversation with Joel was a good one and says, fuck it. Why?
No, it wasn't.
It really was not a good one.
Wasn't a good. I might have the opportunity to forgive you, Joel. It'll take some time. She hates Joel. She loves him too, but she also hates him. Oh.
She's left so extremely ambiguous it could be interpreted forever. But I think these guys hit the nail on the head. Pearl Jam is the key to all.
Okay, he just referenced girlfriend reviews, which
great
we covered before, and we got all the flack for that, and all the sycophants came after us. That was fun. Oh boy.
I'm not familiar with that drama.
Oh yeah, I was on Twitter a few months back. That was, well, it was only my Twitter account, so that's all right. But nice to get downvoted by people disagree with you.
All of this. Start of the game, me and Ellie were synced up. We wanted the same thing, but then
that was a trailer, not the first part of the game, actually.
She starts drifting away from Joel, from Dina, and the player. She becomes this unrecognizable monster who has lost so much of her own identity that killing Abby no longer means anything. I like what this guy says too. When Ellie goes,
not killing Abby no longer means it doesn't mean anything at all. Like, it just makes all of the think of all the lives that you take in this game to get to Abby, and then you just give up. Like, I guess that the lives that you killed, everyone that you killed to get to Abby, they don't matter. What a fucking silly, hypocritical message for a video game, I have to tell you.
You're just problematic, Southpaw.
The whole moral of the story.
You're not even a real fan.
The whole moral of the story being, hey, this NPC that you killed from the first game, well, he had a daughter, but then we're killing a bunch of NPCs in this game, and we're just not supposed to give a shit because none of them are Abby.
Oh, let's not forget the dogs and the names they gave everyone and all the reactions that when you kill one of them, they freak out. It's like, wow, thanks for letting me feel all these wonderful feelings of killing people, which is the point of the story. It's almost as if we care more for killing these NPCs because they have names and they react and we can actually kill them. But nope, give us a MGS4 slapfest at the end. And we can't defeat Liquid because the game won't let us.
Oh. Just take him.
She's not talking about Liv. When she returns home, Ellie can no longer play Joel's guitar, which helped her keep his memory alive. You could see this as a cruel twist of fate, but now that those memories can fade away, Ellie can move on and hopefully live the life Joel would have wanted for.
Or commit suicide, or do any other. Like, what do you? There's nothing left. What you gonna do? Go back to Jackson after all this time? She could, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel that way. It feel like she abandoned it. Why would she let go of the guitar? She can't play it anymore? Would Dina forgive her? Probably not. I mean, it's probably her best bet of survival, I assume, if she even wants to survive.
Ladies and gentlemen, Obi Kenobi from Star Trek. He says, I love how Dunkey showed us the metric score to attempt to prove a point. Show us the user scores too. So Obi-Wan's getting a little bit senile in his old age, but just for you, Obi-Wan, I am now going to read some Metacritic user reviews. Here we go. Just no, not worth playing, not fun, not groundbreaking, not interesting or exciting. Naughty Dog's downfall. One of the most...
Wasn't he saying show the user score, not read through every individual review?
Random Metacritic ones, I assume, based off date. Because look at their 0 of 0, so he's not picking the ones that were upvoted. So, and there were a lot of detailed big... I'm sure they're still there on Metacritic. This is the game that caused the user options of entering in scores on Metacritic to change. Because it was getting bombed so often.
The games I ever played, written by a soy boy that ruined Naughty Dog as a company. No more likable characters because of reasons you can view in other comments. This is an incredible masterpiece, a must-to-play. The baddest game in history. This game must be the game that can enter the list of games I don't like. Trash agenda. This could be a great game, but Anita had to add Palico Gina agenda. I gotta play a story-based game with a shit story that it's my fault because I'm a homophobe? Seriously, Days Gone did a way better job than this. Shit. I guess Obi-Wan was right. But now, just to be safe, let's look at the reviews for a good game, like Days Gone. The story is very emotional and smart. Deep story with awesome graphics. This game, it's a masterpiece storytelling. The story and character...
I don't see the point of this. I really don't.
Characters are top-notch, and at times I even felt emotion. Storytelling is so good that I thought I was dreaming.
You're making me want to play Days Gone now. So, thank you,
I
Duncan.
guess, yeah. I don't know. I don't see why he's doing this.
Not like shitty The Last of Us 2. Deep storyline with white, straight protagonist.
Okay. That guy's an idiot. It's weird.
Damn. Well,
it feels like he's being very selective.
Okay, yeah. There's a dude that has to point out that the protagonist was straight and white, and I guess that means that... What point is this exactly? There's nut jobs that like Days Gone? Okay. There's nut jobs that like everything.
People have spoken. Last of Us 2 is a terrible 3 out of 10 story. Meanwhile, Days Gone is an 8 out of 10 masterpiece of storytelling. Now, Polly, play the clip of Days Gone.
Oh, wait a second. Here, you can have this one back. But only if you promise to ride me as much as you ride your bike.
That is way better romantic dialogue than The Last of Us Part 2.
That is coming from a beautiful woman. Like, whoa. Oh.
I mean, there's more chemistry in this line between these two characters, which is coming from her to this guy, than there is in the fucking cringy-ass dance scene in The Last of Us 2. In any of the scenes with Ellie and Dina. Jesus Christ.
The story is the best ever.
All right.
Wow, that was trash.
Yeah, well, again, he understands his audience. He's always going to crack jokes. He's going to say silly argumentations. It's not a big deal, but it's fun going through. Some of those landed. I laughed a few times. So
I didn't laugh at all.
I know, Shiny.
It was all cringe.
All right. Well, I'm going to read some super chats. You guys can hang out if you still want to. I know you're two are busy making videos.
This is also a popular video. If you look at the amount of people who have upvoted this video has about 1.3 million views. It's only got 12k dislikes and it's got 100,000 plus likes.
Well, the masses are idiots. So I actually do have to go now, but thank you all for having me come on. This was very fun. I mean, other than the fact that I was having to cover Dunkey. But yeah, I'll be seeing y'all some other time. If there's a time, are you guys going to do an Among Us game night at some point this weekend?
We do it almost every 3 days or so. I think they're in the group. You just got to listen to the pings and yeah, we're there.
Sweet. All right, I'm gonna try to make it to. If you guys are doing one tomorrow or Friday night, I might be able to make it.
Oh, we probably will. Yeah.
Alrighty. Have a good one.
Good night, Southpaw. Okay, so let's read some super chats. We got about 10 or so. Thank you, everyone. Joe Crazy, sup, gents? Dear God, more Dunkey. Don't worry about it. John Lemley, I'm going to watch a replay of this beautiful disaster. Oh, good sir. Good to you. John Lemley again. Literally the only redeeming features of The Last of Us 2 are the graphics and voice acting. The gameplay is good. I could argue that. People liked it. People like the crafting elements and the upgrades, what have you. Rock Suzuki. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Naruto has a better revenge between Sasuke and Itachi than The Last of Us 2. This isn't even up for debate. Okay. Roxas Uzi has spoken. There you go. DB. I'm too drunk celebrating something personal to think of anything clever. Here's my money. Anyway, Smud. Well, thank you anyway, sir. Hope you're having a good time. Probably better than us. Joe Crazy. He just stood around and grunts. Is he seriously ignoring everything that happened in the first game? It's Dunkey trying to be funny. That's just how it goes. Joe Crazy again.
Emphasis on the word trying.
Yeah. But they crucified Abby, Southpaw. Of course she redeemed herself. Yeah, there's our savior up on the cross, or on the log, whatever you want to call that. Hunter the Hunter. Dunkey's arguments, integrity, and skin are all paper thin. Glad you're covering this petty crap video, and I hope EFAP covers it too. I think this is probably not up to EFAP standards. It's more of a joke to them. And they like covering much longer videos anyway. Cool Man. Abby is a good person despite murder because she saved a couple kids. What's that? Joel saved Ellie and helped people? Doesn't count. Well, yeah, Joel even saved Abby. So, what's your standard for goodness in the world of The Last of Us? It's very, very difficult to ascertain. And DB again. I do love the fact that if Ellie stayed on the farm happily, Abby would have died on that cross. It's very, it's just a big contrived mess once you stop and think about it. yeah, there's certain things you just sit back and go, that's weird. All these things happen the way they do. All these contrivances. Ellie ends up killing everyone around Abby until they get to Abby. And Abby teams up with Lev, and they go off to California. Then Ellie goes off to California to hunt them down. It's just a series of contrivances, which is never a good sign of good storytelling or for storytelling. Whew. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. That was just for me, I thought it was fun. A little different than what we normally do. Thankfully, not too many Star Wars references, but lots of overlap between bad writing. Always a good thing to bring up The Last Jedi. And to learn our lesson on what is good stories, what is good storytelling, and what to spend your time on. Have a good little laugh at arguments. And Dunkey is not without humor. He's not devoid of it. So he knows what he's doing.
Could have fooled me.
I know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys real soon. We might have, as Southpaw was alluding to, a game night tomorrow or Friday. And we're going to be playing some more Last of Us. If you guys have any other suggestions for multiplayer games, I think that'd be a good idea. I think there's a few others that were, HTML games that were multiplayer. I don't know what they're all called. But definitely, we'll be happy to play with the Smud Night crew. I don't know what to call them. Game nights, game nighters. But we're there to have some fun. So anyway, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you.